It is day 9 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and Russia continues to face much heavier resistance than expected, with many experts claiming that they are facing significant logistical challenges of their own creation. A 40-mile-long convoy in the north heading towards Kyiv in particular has slowed to a crawl. However, the front of their forces are within artillery and rocket distance of Kyiv. The massive convoy is a vulnerable target which is unable to even return due to the convoy taking up the whole road and muddy conditions making off-road travel impossible. Russia's willingness to have such a vulnerable target speaks to their extreme confidence that they control the airspace and their assurance that the Ukrainian Air Force will not be able to operate near the convoy. From early on in the war, Russian forces have been conducting strikes on civilian infrastructure, which received widespread condemnation. However, Russian forces have been increasing their attacks on civilian infrastructure, with President Zelensky declaring on the 1st of March that an attack on Kharkiv was an act of terrorism and a war crime. By the next day, the U.S. ambassador to the UN condemned Russia for its attack on civilians in Ukraine and claimed the Russian military had violated the Geneva Convention. On the same day, the International Criminal Court opened an investigation into war crimes committed by Russian forces. Previously, especially in Russia's assaults on Aleppo and Grozny, they similarly started by primarily not attacking civilian infrastructure before moving to an all-out assault on civilian infrastructure. It seems that the Russian forces are moving to this strategy much sooner in Ukraine than they did in either of those two wars. The mayor of Mariupol states that the city has received continuous shelling for 26 consecutive hours, and Europe's largest nuclear power plant received significant artillery bombardment today in the city of Zaporizhia in the southeast of Ukraine, resulting in a fire inside the facility. The U.S. Embassy in Kyiv condemned the attack, stating that it was a war crime. Although the Ukrainians hold the advantage in the long run, as occupying cities is an incredibly difficult, deadly, and costly objective, the Ukrainian government and military may not be able to withstand this onslaught. Russia is currently attempting to encircle Kyiv, according to the New York Times, which would isolate the city from reinforcements from European allies, which is a common tactic of the Russian military. The Ukrainian forces so far have been able to prevent the city from being surrounded, but if the Russians manage to do this, then it will become an extremely desperate situation. Food will run low for both civilians and the military, while necessary munitions and reinforcements will become impossible for the Ukrainian military to source. In the south of the country, numerous experts believe Putin is moving to isolate Ukraine from the coast. Russian forces have captured the first major city, Kherson. It is believed that Russian forces will soon head to the important port town of Odessa. There is currently fierce fighting in Mariupol, with the mayor stating that civilian buildings are being targeted, that the city is facing a humanitarian crisis without power or water, and that the Russian forces have purposefully targeted their transit infrastructure, making evacuation of women and children increasingly difficult. The West's sanctions on Russia have continued to have an enormous impact. Although sanctions of individuals and government officials are not uncommon, sanctioning a central bank itself is a rarely used tactic that Putin probably had not considered. Putin has over $600 billion in savings to fund his war. But as explained by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, we will ban the transactions of Russia's central bank and freeze all its assets to prevent it from financing Putin's war. The Russian central bank once again closed the stock exchange on Thursday, reports the Wall Street Journal, which is its 4th consecutive day of being closed. Many are arguing for an embargo on Russian oil, which is an industry of critical importance to this war. Oil is one of Russia's largest exports, providing billions of dollars to Russia daily, which it can use to fund its war in Ukraine. Further, Russia receives this income in US dollars, and it is in significant need of foreign currencies to be able to buy and import goods. For these two reasons, many say that ending all Western trade of oil with Russia is a necessary step. However, Europe is dependent on this oil. An embargo on Russian oil would mean sacrifices might need to be made by ordinary Europeans, as well as the rest of the world, as the price of oil rises globally. This is of significant concern to many world leaders who have faced political backlash with regards to fuel prices. Many are worried that they might face political resistance at home regarding this issue. Today, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki stated that the White House is looking into divesting from Russian oil, but that the process may take some time. The coming days will be of incredible importance in the war. The ability of Ukraine's military to keep Russian forces at a distance and away from Kyiv will tell us a lot of what is likely to happen. Ukraine may be able to keep the Russian forces at bay, allowing the Ukrainian government to hold power for some time, or the Russians may quickly encircle Kyiv, meaning that it is unlikely the Ukrainian government can hold Kyiv for very long. This has been Ricky Harleen for The War Watch. Thanks for watching.